Hi guys, I'm Clinton and welcome back to the Powerlifting Roundtable episode where we talk about how to pick the right coach. And this is gonna be the last installment based on the topics that we have given you to vote. But we'll be trying to think of more interesting topics to talk about in the later weeks to come. Once again, today I have JJ and Adam with me to talk about this topic. And to be honest, this topic doesn't require much of a PowerPoint slide or presentation. It will just be more of us talking and uh, just describing and explaining based on our experiences. And probably you can also hear the perspective of the coach in terms to this question. So once again, I hope you guys will enjoy this. All you need to do is just sit back, relax, put it on the background and listen to us talk about stuff. All right. Okay. So, oh yeah, by the way, when I was thinking about the title of this series, Powerlifting Roundtable, I had no idea that it has the initials of PR. So perhaps when you watch all these videos about from Powerlifting Roundtable, you will start to get PRs when you start training again, or if you are training already. All right, let's jump straight in. How to pick the right coach? Anything from JJ and Adam first?
So someone asked me this question on my Instagram Q&A yesterday about why people how coaches have coaches. So why wouldn't people who are looking for a coach go to the coach's coach instead of going to that coach specifically? So say for example, I'm being coached by Clinton. So why would people want me to coach them? Why wouldn't they just approach Clinton? And my response to that was well, there are many reasons why. So for example, if Clinton doesn't have there are a lot of practical reasons. For example, like, okay, if Clinton doesn't have availability, for example, or if Clinton is more expensive. But if we ignore all the practical stuff aside, I think there are some main differences between coaches as well. So the way that like Clinton, I always talk when we train about certain different sort of issues and strategies that some of our lifters have, and how we would go about solving it. Or I would even talk to him about, say, my own training and ask him what is his rationale for doing certain things, and compare against sort of my own assessment of myself. So I think that's also another factor, that even though Clinton coaches me, the way that he sees an issue can actually differ from the way I see an issue, which also means that if someone approaches us, they might have different sort of solutions to the same problem. So that's one of the things. But the other thing as well is also, I think one of the ways that you should pick a coach is the way you communicate with your coach. I think that's one of the big things that you need to I think you should clarify when picking a coach, because for example, the way I coach my guys is I send them a program via Google Sheets, and they send me like videos and questions over WhatsApp and stuff. So in a sense, I don't do like sort of email check-ins and stuff. So that's something that you need to clarify, how they go about doing that and what is the most suitable for you. So if, say for example, I know there are bigger coaching services who do like emails only, or a certain way basically of how they want to coach. And if that's not something that you are looking for, but you go with a coach, that might hinder the experience that you're getting, and you might feel that actually this is not what you want. So I think you need to look at how they are structuring their business, so to speak, and go for the one that you think is the most suitable for you. Because you might never know, some people who are like, say, more advanced, they might need less sort of day-to-day contact, and they just need programming, and they just need a weekly check-in or monthly check-in and stuff, and that can come at maybe a lower price or something like that. So it really depends on how much, like, kind of your budget and what service you want to get. And I think one of the analogies that I really like is if you go to a big if you go to a big city, right, like say a London or New York, and you go to any restaurant, right, you're assuming that all the restaurants, their food is of a certain standard, because if it's not, then they can't survive, right? So the way I look at coaches is also the same thing. Like, they're all giving you somewhat of a similar product, which is the coaching and the results that you get out of it, right? And I mean, if you go to a coach that don't even give you the product, then that's kind of your fault lah for not doing your research. But let's assume that everyone gets training and everyone gets these results, right? So the differentiating factor is in the service, right? So if you go to a restaurant, like if you go to a 5-star restaurant, you assume that their food is all of a minimum standard, right? So what will make you come back is actually like how, say for example, the front of a house treats you, how the waiters, the staff treats you, how your food is being brought to you, the environment of the place, and all of these things, right? So these are all the more sort of like service oriented stuff that is on top of the base product, which is the food, right? So I think this is the differentiating factor across different coaches as well. So and you need to kind of, when you're looking for a coach, I think this is something that you should actually look out for and pay attention, because these are the things that happen to you more consistently than the coach sending you a program, right? And the day-to-day experience of the service will shape your perception of that coaching relationship, right? So if you don't even like to talk to the person, then like, he might give you results, but if you don't even like that relationship and you're forced to spend time with this person, then there's something like fundamentally wrong with it, and it might not make you enjoy training in the long run. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with JJ on that part, because from all the experiences that I have as a coach and looking at the market of all the coaches out there, we pretty much have the same product. But ultimately, it all comes down to the service. So how the consumers is being serviced, and what kind of things we offer on the coach's hand, so that we can improve the quality of the experience. So once again, it's more about the experience. And I feel that, yes, communication is actually very important. So if you are looking for the right coach, I think the most important thing, other than research and see what styles or what kind of coaches you're looking for example, if you're looking for a more performance and numbers-based coach, probably you will look at someone who always pushes his or her athlete regardless of their mental health, etc., and also never really care so much and so anal about the technique and stuff. Whereas if you're looking about, keeping myself safe and I need someone who can look at my technique all the time and such, then you look at this spectrum of coaches. So ultimately, before you even pick the coach that you want, I think one of the things that is not usually done is communication and talking to the person before even buying the product from the coach. For example, let's say somebody wants to get coaching from me, and even like sometimes they don't even go through the process of IG messaging me and asking me about what I do, and basically just do some basic communication, say hi, just engage in a conversation to see whether you guys click or not. I think it's quite important. If I were to find a coach, the first thing I will do is try to talk to him and see whether our principles align. So if our principles align and we can talk easily, then most probably I will select that coach. Yeah. So whereas if, let's say, if you are someone who cannot really speak English or understand English well, and then you go and pick the best American coach in the world, because right now the powerhouses of coaches all saturated around America, that it will be a very big disadvantage for you, because first of all, you don't really comprehend the English, and the message brought across will be very, very hard to be clear in that sense. Yeah. I mean, for me, communication is quite important, which is why every time when we even start the service, we will have a Skype call with the client just to icebreak a little bit, just to help them understand what's my mindset, what's my thinking process when I design a program, and etc. Which brings me to the next point. To pick a right coach, I find that one of the things that is not considered most of the time is the time zone of you and the coach, the differences. So for example, if you are looking for a service where the replies will be more prompt, because for example, you're training in the morning right now, let's say in Singapore time, what time is it? You're training at 12 p.m. and your coach is in London, for example, is in the UK. So probably your coach is sleeping right now and they are only going to be awake, let's say at 2 p.m. But you're about to finish training already, and you have some questions that you really want to be answered by the coach. But they have no choice because the coach has to sleep, right? So I believe that time zone is pretty important. If you want to look for a coach and you're in the Asian region, I think it's more appropriate to find someone living in that region, because from there, then you will get your response easier, and then you won't be frustrated when you're not like having replies for a certain period of time. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, that's a really good description by both of you, and you brought up some really good points. So what I think is, like, as you guys said, it's like what sort of level you expect and what sort of level you require. If you're someone that's that needs a lot of technical work or a lot of communication, then yes, as you said, that's a good point you picked up, is see what time zone they are in and see how responsive they are, and also do like a background check of how they coach as well. Like maybe see if they got any testimonials, or go communicate with one of their athletes and talk, what's your coach like? Does he or she do this? Or he or she communicate quite well? Are they quite technical, or are they really just program based? So I recommend doing a bit of a background check, and then seeing what kind of content they've got out. See if you're looking for a coach that kind of suits your personality too. So someone that kind of has things in common with you, so you can actually talk and communicate with them quite well as well. I think that's a key if you're looking for a coach like that. I understand that people just want a program, and I'll update my sheet and see the next program next week and go by their weeks like that, and that's fine. And some people need a lot of technical work and a lot of communication, so that's fine as well. So yeah, as I said, it's just find the service that suits you, but really do a good background check. So like that's what I've done with my coach as well. I listened to a few podcasts from him. I found that we have a lot of stuff in common as well, and I really like that he coaches the mental aspect a lot with powerlifting as well. So, and also with life. So that's something I sort of kind of felt like I needed more help with, rather than more the other aspects. So I've found a coach that suits what I wanted, even though he's on the other side of the world, so with time difference. So I don't expect a quick response from him. But the responses are quite good anyway. So it's, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about finding a coach that suits you and what kind of service you want. And also what kind of programming style suits you as well. What kind of training philosophies that suits you. You know, we prefer a percentage base. Do you prefer someone just to give you numbers every week? Or do you prefer someone to give you, someone more like myself, a little bit that does a bit of both, bit of percentage, bit of RPE, and gives you target loads, but also gives that ability to auto-regulate around that as well. So it really depends on what kind of programming style you want as well. Do you want a coach that'll send you a 12-week program, or do you want a coach that'll send you a program each week? You know, I know most of us do a bottom-up approach. So we send a weekly program and then we adjust according from there. And we find that suits us better. But it's just depending on what kind of belief suits you as well. So yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah, I think with the time zone thing as well, one thing I want to say is like I think because at one point like Clinton was coaching me, I was in the UK as well, and I think on that, I think it's also not, you need to be very clear with yourself. So look at what your needs are first, because I think if, for example, your coach says that they will reply you in 24 hours, then I think even within the time zone difference, it's still you can still reasonably work with them. But I think one of the things that you should not expect from the coach is that, okay, if they say like they'll reply you in 24 hours and you are expecting like a 2-hour reply or a 1-hour reply, then I think that's not that's not fair on either parties, because you're asking for something that the coach doesn't give, and at the same time there's also a counter expectation. The coach understands that you know that it's a 24-hour reply, right? So I think these are things that when you are looking for a coach, you need to be quite clear about like what kind of level of service you want, right? And on top of that, if you are say a novice as well, maybe one of the things that you might, because it seems like what we've mostly talked about is kind of like the idea of like online coaching, but we haven't actually spoke about
personal training.
we haven't actually spoke about like in-person coaching, you know, like good old-fashioned, before social media, before every, you know, all this technology stuff, like people used to actually coach in person, you know, like so I think that's one of the things as well. If you're really quite young, I would say maybe in your first year of powerlifting, I think it would actually be more beneficial for you to find an in-person coach that's local to you, because even though they might have a sort of like remote service where you are training, maybe say if you're training 4 times a week, one of the sessions is done in person. I think that's also very helpful, because that a lot of things can be achieved in that one in-person session that might actually take maybe weeks or even months to achieve over the internet, like explaining things, moving you in a position, get you to feel the right things. It's a lot easier, I would say, to do that in person than it is to do over sort of like text, or over even a video call is quite hard as well. So yeah, that's one of the things to consider as well. If you can get a coach that's local to you, that might actually benefit you quite a bit, right? Because one of the reasons why I moved from my last coach to Clinton was because I was nursing an injury, and at that time I was training at Elevate. So I was just like, okay, maybe Clinton can help me with like getting through this injury more as well. So I think those things are actually quite important to consider. So how much in-person time you're getting, and if you need in-person time as well. Yeah,
it's a really good point, man. And you know, the point you said, being able to see them in person and help with technical, you will save so much time just doing that in person. Like, sometimes it's really hard to articulate over even over video. It's even hard to articulate technique because you can't go hands on and go, you need to this, you need to feel this here and all that sort of stuff. When you're in the gym and they've got the weight on their back too. So I think that's a really good point to bring up, is if you're new to powerlifting, you should really consider looking for a local coach, even if it's online. See if they're available to give you a one-on-one session at least once a week to help you with any technical advice.
Well, speaking on this context, if you are living in Singapore, we have a very, very unique and specialized, very awesome place for you to train and acquire new skills in terms of powerlifting. And if you are new and novice to powerlifting and you are living in Singapore, I think it's a good idea for you to check out Elevate Barbell Club. It's a little bit biased because I basically own it, but well, I'm here discussing the topic about how to pick the right coach. And I'm a coach, and I've already explained more or less about the consumer needs of in terms of getting the coach. And locally, I have stationed myself and has a gym that specializes in doing powerlifting. So I think it's also a good idea for you to come down and hear what I have to offer for you, and probably see what we can do for you in terms of your powerlifting journey. Okay. Going back to the question, right? I think more importantly, when you consider the right coach, you need to think about what is your needs. So I think one possible strategy for those who are looking for a coach is to first list down your expectations. Okay, so what do you expect from the coach? And then you list down what do you need from a coach. Okay, and then from there you do a cross-reference. And basically from that cross-reference, you'll get to see what kind of services you want. Okay, what kind of service you want from the coach. And then from there, it's more or less like a negotiation. So back to like a business sense really. So more or less like a negotiation. You talk to your desired coach to be and see whether they can provide such services for you. So if they can provide such services to you and they are not like pissed about what you have said, for example, I negotiate and I demand a 1 hour feedback replies from WhatsApp. And if their coach is like reluctantly saying, okay, whatever, yes. And then, well, most probably is either the coach is not the right one for you, or maybe you perhaps need to manage your expectations a little bit. You need to understand that having an online service, right, across the board, based on my experience right now, is mostly, if you want to look at just the feedback service itself, mostly it's either 24 hours or weekly check-ins. Okay, if they are doing like a monthly check-in, and I mean, in my opinion, monthly check-in is a little bit too long, even in my level. Let's say if I find a coach and the least that I need based on the feedback and check-in is weekly, because if it's monthly, it's more or less after a block. So after a block, you give him the feedback and then you requested for feedback. By the time the feedback is replied to you, another block started, right? So it's a little bit irrelevant. So yeah, once again, communicate with your coach, the coach to be, and see whether they can manage and get to the expectations that you want. And also try to manage your expectations and be more realistic, like what JJ has said. if you are someone who are new, obviously you need a lot more attention. I believe me and Adam had a very wonderful experience before, where we had an athlete who had minimal experience in barbell training, number one. Number two, he does not have any athletic background, minimal exposure to moving his body. Number three, he does not speak our language properly and does not comprehend our language properly. Adam, do you remember the guy? Yeah. And basically what we did is, I think we suggested to him that you really need a personal trainer, a hands-on face-to-face coaching for at least a few sessions before we move into the online training. He's living in Singapore, by the way, but the thing is he refused. He said that I don't need it. And maybe it's our fault. Maybe we don't speak Russian. Maybe we cannot converse with him in Russian. But at the end of the day, nobody benefit here. So ultimately, you pay a price to improve yourself. So it's a skill development. You pay a price for a skill development. Obviously, let's say if you are looking at, I want to learn cryptocurrency and how to trade with cryptocurrency. Obviously, you go to an online course to pick the right language and to pick the one that you can understand the best. Okay. So for example, if you are really new, you'll go and look for, basics of cryptocurrency rather than the technical aspects of cryptocurrency where you can understand nothing about it. So seriously, I think that what you need to do is first understand your level of training, whether you are a novice, intermediate, or elite. And then from there, you weigh out what's your needs and expectations. Then you pick the coach. So, okay, before you pick the coach, then you find the coach and talk to the coach to be. And talk to multiple ones. If they suit you and you like their style, you guys can communicate well. For example, people understand my Singlish accent, then cool. Then you can pick that coach, or probably me or something like that. Yeah. Well, what do you think, guys?
Yeah. I think another one is another big mistake some people make is trying to find the cheapest coach.
Oh, yes.
They try and find, okay, I just want to save money. I don't want to spend that much money on a coach, so I'm going to find the cheapest coach. And then I've heard experiences that they'll get this cheap coach and then they'll train with them for a couple of months and then realize I'm not really getting much out of this. And it's like, their communication replies and stuff take so long to reply back and they don't get that much decent feedback, and that's fine because maybe they don't want to do that and they just charge. That's the reason why they charge really cheap. But it's if you're looking for quality, you shouldn't be looking at the price tag, but you shouldn't be looking for the most expensive either. Like, you should be looking at what suits your goals and what kind of experience that you want to have, and then maybe look at the price last and then weigh it up from there.
Yeah. I think picking a coach, right, is like buying a pair of shoes or a watch. Okay? So let's talk about shoes because I love looking at shoes, right? If you buy a brand and you look at the price point and you say that, okay, I want to buy the cheapest shoe. Okay? So you went to a cheap shop, you bought a $10 shoe, and then you realize that after a week it starts to wear out, the soles start to wear out, and then the holes started appearing and shit. So obviously what you buy is what you get, right? Another scenario is this. You are looking to buy a Converse shoe. So you went to look online, and then most Converse shoes, low cuts are about $69.90 in Singapore price, right? And then you start to be, it's a little bit expensive. Let's look and see if there are any cheaper Converse shoes. You found a Converse shoe at $30. It's like, oh shit, it's a Converse shoe. And then you bought it. You bought it and came to realize in weeks later, it is a fake Converse. And then you feel really depressed about it. So it's relatable to a coach. I wouldn't say it's a fake coach per se if you are selling cheap. I would say that maybe the quality that he's providing to you will be different if you actually buy a product or service which is more which have more a value and security. Once again, why do I feel that picking a coach is like buying a pair of shoes? Because the shoe that you're gonna wear it almost every day and most of the time, and you're not gonna throw it away just like that. It's like a commitment. There's no, like, I don't believe that anyone who bought a pair of shoes, even though the shoes sucked, you won't throw it right away. You will just leave it somewhere, right? And then it's like, okay, sometimes I take a look at it, I wear it, but I'm not gonna wear it out because I don't trust that product. I'm afraid that if I wear this rotten shoe out halfway through my journey, the shoe will break. So I always want to find a reliable one. Once again, picking a coach, right? You may not know it right now because you may not have a coach, or if you have a coach already, only when you realize that, oh, maybe this coach is not the right one for you, by the time it reaches that point, you have already spent about at least 3 to 6 months of your money investing your efforts and time on this coach. So if you think about it, if I buy a product at if I buy my coaching at $50 per month, and then after 10 months of coaching with him, then I realized that, wow, really this coach doesn't provide for me. So what does it show? Does it mean that you have wasted $500 of your money? And if you convert this $500 of your money and you pick this coach where it is guaranteed some quality and value. So one of the things that I feel personally as a coach, if I put my price at a higher and more premium value price, but not crazy expensive, it means that I honor my job and I honor what I can provide, and I can more or less promise what I can deliver, because you're confident enough to put yourself in that level. So those people have more security and more how should I put it, more safer in terms of investing your money on it. So if you use the $500 and you pay the better value coach at $100 per month, you have 5 straight months of quality good service, and you saved up another 5 months of your time and money so as to continue the service and improve yourself. So this is what I meant. If this is relatable to you, probably because you're already having a coach and you feel that he's not providing any value for you, then I think it's the right time to start our strategy in terms of picking the right coach and find out which is the one better for you. I'm not saying that you should always change your coach all the time, because it will make you like a joke, because it's like when you're a kid, you look for, you're chosen, like, how do I put it? It's like, if you're looking for a teacher, a math teacher, when you're a kid, you don't research about looking for a math teacher, but when somebody has been appointed to be your math teacher, it will be a long time. So when you pick a coach for powerlifting, it's the same thing. It's going to spend a lot of time with you. So make sure you do the right one. Doesn't mean that you are a young lifter, I'm a novice lifter, I don't deserve a value. Like, I don't deserve coaching from Clinton because I'm a scrub, I don't know anything. Because I know it's not like that. Clinton, myself, love to teach you, novice, because it's easiest to teach.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good point that you made about like deserving that time and stuff. I think one of the one of the things that I have quite a few clients that came to me because of that, because they say that, oh, my coach is getting bigger and he's not giving me the same level of service, which I get very, very annoyed by. I think this is not to make myself sound good or anything, but no matter the level, right, I personally believe that if they are paying me the same amount, they deserve the same level of service, regardless of level, right? So if, say for example, you come to me and you know that you are the kind of the mean of the lifetime intermediate, like you know, for, okay, say theoretically you can know for a fact that you will never progress past a 400 weeks, right? I'll still give you the same level of service that as someone that I coach who's maybe like a 470 weeks, right? Because you pay the same amount. right? Why would the level of service change, right? And I think that coaches who who show like favoritism to certain clients, they don't understand that the key difference of how to run a coaching business. Because if you look at the percentage of people who are truly elites, right? By definition, the elites are not the majority, right? To be an advanced elite athlete, you are possibly in the top 5%, right? If you're in the top 5%, you cannot be in the bottom 95%, right? And if you're running your business on only coaching the top 5% of people, then that's not a very smart business, because you cannot get the critical mass that allows you to actually have a sustainable business, right? Unless like that's your target audience. But how big is the elite pool of people, and how many coaches are coaching elite athletes? So I think this is one of the things. I think powerlifting has a value for everyone, regardless of level, right? And it takes a lot of coach. I think a lot of, I wouldn't want to say younger. I say just like there are some coaches who don't want to coach more sort of novice or intermediate lifters, because they wanna market themselves somewhere, and there's no problem. I have no problem with that. But the problem with that is that, okay, if you take on someone, you have to show them the same level of service, right? And I think this is one of the things that people don't realize, is that if you you're paying for a coach's time, right? No matter how you want to cut it, right? Whatever they charge, right, is ideally based on how much time they are going to spend with you, right? So if you're paying like a certain level, say you're using Clinton's example, you're paying $50 a month, right? So if you divide that by how much time the coach is going to spend with you and want to spend with you, right? Say the coach spends maybe online programming 2 to 3 hours with you. What is that per hour? That's about $15 an hour, right? And if you look at the kind of jobs that you can make $15 an hour for, right? The person is more likely you're going to be treated with the same level of service as someone who you are paying $50 an hour to, right? And the kind of level of service you can get for someone at that level is probably different from, say, like if you hire maybe a not to equate us on that level, but maybe if you hire a lawyer, right? They are like bloody expensive, right? They can, like, an hour of their time probably costs like what, $200, $300, right? Just to sit with you and explain to you the intricacies of law that you don't even need to know. You just want them to defend you in court. Or if you hire an accountant, for example, right? They don't need to tell you about the technical details of how to do your accounting, right? They just need to get it done for you. So I think this is the thing, like you need to see what kind of service that you're paying for, and remember that once the 5 months of extra time you've spent has disappeared, you cannot get that 5 months back, right? And you ask yourself, if like, okay, money I can make more of, but the time, once it's gone, I cannot get it back. So you need to weigh out those costs as well, and say if you're a junior lifter and you're actually looking to maybe do something in your junior years and maybe chill out a bit more because of life or whatever, right? That time is also something that you can't ever get back. So it really depends on what you value, and in my opinion, you should value the time spent more than necessarily the financial cost. Even though, yes, I agree that some people might have budgeting constraints and stuff like that, but then even then you can I'm sure there are a whole range of price points that you can go into, and you just need to, I guess, like do a bit of research to what's suitable for you and what you can compromise on in regards to your budget. I think that's something that people don't want to hear, because people just want to hear, oh, I picked the coach that gives me the best result. But I will argue that, okay, yes, the best results come, but at what cost? You need to ask yourself. Like Clinton said initially, if you can put 100 kilos on your total in 1 year, but you spend the next year being nursing some injuries or like chronic injuries that keep occurring because you push yourself so hard. right? And you can see in when powerlifting started getting big, like 2015, 2016, you can see the amount of lifters that are still around, right? And the kind of training that they've done, and compare yourself against that. I can name, you can, if you have any questions about that, you can DM me, because I don't want to call anyone out. But you can, there are a lot of lifters who were big then, who are not, I would say they might still be lifting, but they are not within the competitive pool anymore because of whatever reason. So yeah, look at those as reasons to consider, because not just your time as well, you are also giving your body to this person, trusting your body to this person to say, okay, help me like squeeze every other kilo I can get out of what I have, right? And if your injuries you live with for life, you might be able to rehab it successfully and PR and all that, but those are things that once you've trusted someone with, you don't want them to betray that time and that trust, especially in a body that you need to live in until you are at least, I would say, hopefully 60, 70, 80, and yeah, so it's something that you have to live with. So work with a coach that understands your body and will do the right things for you.
One thing to add as well is if you like, when we think about spending money, we always look at securities and how safe it is. I think one thing to note is if you are looking for a coach, especially for powerlifting scene, I think it's sensible to find a professional coach, whether or not he's a specialized powerlifting coach or not, because at least what they can provide for you is the security of the level of commitment they have. Right? Their full time is being a coach. They at least know some way or another what is safe and what is not safe, and the insights of it, so they can teach you about certain aspects of your natural movement, your habits, and etc. etc. Yeah, so I think this is one thing that I want to add in as well in terms of picking the coach. Adam, what do you think? Anything else to add in before we wrap this up?
No, nothing on top of my mind. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
And we gave out some good points to consider. So yeah, so the main things is, to just, as we've been talking about, is just to really see what you really want to spend your time on, what kind of quality coach that you want to commit to, and really spend your time thinking about it too. Don't go think on like day one, I want to be with that coach. Give it a good couple of weeks and think about it, and then, because it's going to be a lot of time you're going to commit to, and if you don't find the right coach and it doesn't work out, then you've kind of wasted that time that you spent with that coach that didn't work out for you, and now you've got to go with another coach, and it's going to take time for them to figure you out as well, and kind of figure out how they work with you as well. So it's a big time commitment as well.
Yeah, effort as well.
Mm.
All right. Nothing else?
I think the way that I judge buying things is the level of buyer's remorse I get. Like if I pay for something and I'm like, oh fuck, I feel I can't regret buying it, or it's a bit too expensive, then you just let your gut kind of inform you of the choice that you've made. And sometimes I think there is of course your gut is not always right, but there's a sort of learning curve as well, and sometimes you just need to stick to it. And yeah, don't I think one of the big ways to do is to kind of match your reality and your expectations as well. So if there's a lot of calibration that needs to be done, the coach needs time to understand you and stuff. So whatever you do, be it picking a coach or changing a coach and stuff, don't be too hasty in your decision making.
Yeah. ultimately you need to feel comfortable with that person if you are looking to acquire his service. And yeah, talking about like buying a product, to me, I have a client who once said this before: if you want to buy something, you ask yourself this question: does it make you happy? Does it make you satisfied? If yes, the price doesn't matter. So yeah, so this is what we have and all we have for you guys, and I hope this is not too lengthy. And if you are still listening at this point, we would like to thank you for the time that you have committed for us in terms of listening to us answering one single topic, which honestly, when we are tasked to answer this question, we had a joke where all you need to do so this video is going to be just 1 minute, because the question is how to pick the right coach for powerlifting. The answer is staring right in front of you. All right, it's just a joke, but anyway.
www.thebarbellmovement.com. See you there.
Hit me up on Instagram.
DM us on Instagram, Clinton_ACT or Panic Matters.
Just DM me your credit card details. Thanks.
Yeah. During this period, especially in Singapore, we are starting to open ourselves up, and hopefully in a few weeks' time, the gyms will be open again. So what I truly hope is I get a little bit more DMs on my Instagram asking about coaching services. And till then, I'll see you again, and please like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy what we provide for you. And till then, we'll see you again. Goodbye.